Let's step back and consider how coins like the 1982 penny are even created, because understanding the minting process can shed light on how rare variations and errors come into existence, and why they drive up a coin's value. At the core of U.S. coin production is a blend of engineering precision, mass production, and occasional human or mechanical error. Coins start as blank discs known as planchets, which are punched out of sheets of metal and then fed into high-speed presses that stamp them with the coin's design. The dies used in the presses have been meticulously engraved and hardened to ensure consistency across millions of strikes. However, even the smallest deviation, be it a misaligned die, a cracked die, a debris-covered surface, or an off-metal planchet, can result in a coin with distinct features that set it apart from the rest. These anomalies are where things get exciting for collectors. For the 1982 cent, the transition year meant different compositions, multiple die types, and massive production volume, all of which created the perfect environment for errors and rare hybrids. Some errors were caught early and scrapped by the mint's quality control teams, but others slipped through and entered circulation. These accidental survivors have become legendary in the collector world. Perhaps the most famous example from 1982 is, again, the small date bronze cent with the Denver Mint mark, the 1982 D small date bronze. In theory, Denver should have already been producing only zinc-based planchets by the time the small date die was introduced, but apparently, a small number of copper planchets remained in the production line and were inadvertently struck with the wrong die. It's this kind of unexpected mix-up that fascinates collectors, a coin that should not exist by the mint's official documentation, yet somehow does. That's what makes it rare, not a mint-intended rarity, but a happy accident that became numismatic gold. Some people might wonder, why didn't the mint just collect and destroy these off-planchet or off-die coins? The answer lies in the sheer volume of coins being produced and the speed of production. In 1982, hundreds of millions of 1-cent coins were minted across different facilities. Inspecting every single coin with microscopic precision is logistically impossible. Mistakes are bound to happen, and when they do, they become the stuff of legend, often being discovered by accident, years or even decades later, in pocket change, estate sales, coin rolls, or inherited collections. When a rare error like the 1982 D small date bronze is discovered, it doesn't just represent a fluke, it represents a possibility. And that's where the speculation begins. What if there are more? What if someone else finds another? What if one is found in near-perfect condition? It's that what if factor that drives value, and sometimes hyperbolic rumors, such as the idea that a single penny from 1982 could be worth $765 million. While there is no evidence of such a sale, the internet has no shortage of claims and listings, some backed by zero documentation but still attracting millions of views. Let's dive deeper into those myths and viral stories. A major driver of these high-value rumors is the rise of online marketplaces. It's not uncommon to find listings for 1982 pennies, sometimes in average circulated condition, posted for thousands or even millions of dollars. Some sellers use buzzwords like rare error, transitional planchet, or historical misprint without any professional grading or verification. These listings are not reflective of true market value, they're speculative, opportunistic, or sometimes outright misleading. And yet, they thrive because they tap into the hope that an ordinary person might stumble upon extraordinary value. That being said, let's be very clear, for a coin to be truly valuable, it needs to be authenticated, certified, and graded by a reputable third-party grading service. This process involves sending the coin to a recognized institution like PCGS, Professional Coin Grading Service, NGC, Numismatic Guarantee Company, or ANACS, American Numismatic Association Certification Service. These experts examine the coin under magnification, determine its composition, strike quality, wear, and any mint errors, and then assign a grade on a scale from 1 to 70. A coin graded MS 70 is perfect, showing no post-mint imperfections at all. Even MS 65 and higher coins are considered very desirable. The reason grading is so important is because condition heavily influences a coin's value. A 1982 D small date bronze cent in extremely worn condition may still be rare, but its value would pale in comparison to one in mint condition with crisp details and strong luster. And that's why professional authentication is the gold standard. Only with an official grade can sellers and buyers trust that the coin is what it claims to be, and that it's worth the price being asked. Now, let's turn our attention to the public's reaction to 1982 penny stories. Social media has played a major role in reviving interest in coin collecting. Videos titled, "Check Your Change for This Rare Penny" or "This Penny Could Be Worth $1 million" get millions of views on platforms like YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram. These videos often show side-by-side comparisons of coins, discuss subtle design features, and use dramatic language to build hype. And while some are educational, others spread exaggerated or even false information. This leads to a cascade of hopeful viewers checking every penny they find, flooding coin forums with photos, and asking, "Is this the rare one?" This surge of attention, while often misinformed, has introduced a new generation to the world of numismatics. There's also the psychological thrill of discovery. Coins are one of the few collectibles that circulate among the general public. You can't find a Picasso painting in your pocket. But you can find a coin that turns out to be rare or valuable. That accessibility makes coin collecting a democratic hobby. Anyone can participate, anyone can potentially win. The idea that you could hold a tiny copper disc in your hand that someone else would pay thousands, or even millions, for is intoxicating. It fuels a kind of modern treasure hunt, one fueled by curiosity, hope, and the internet, and the economics are interesting too. The price of copper has fluctuated dramatically over the years. At times, the metal content in older pennies has been worth more than 1 cent. This led to hoarding, melting restrictions, and further scrutiny of coins like the 1982 cent, which exists at the cusp of the composition change. That transition, part historical, part economical, makes the 1982 cent a symbol of changing times in American manufacturing. It tells a story not just about money, but about policy, inflation, commodity pricing, and fiscal pragmatism. The artistry of coin design also deserves mention. Victor David Brenner, the Lithuanian-born engraver who designed the Lincoln cents obverse, originally placed his initials, VDB, prominently on the coin's reverse in 1909. This sparked public outrage at the time, as many considered it an act of self-promotion, leading the mint to temporarily remove the initials. They were later added back, subtly, on Lincoln's shoulder. That controversy, too, is part of the cent's lore. Brenner's profile of Lincoln is elegant and enduring, and the Lincoln Memorial reverse, introduced in 1959, added layers of symbolism and architectural pride. These artistic elements are part of what makes coins worth collecting. They're not just tools of commerce, they're miniature sculptures, rich with national identity and historical meaning. So, back to the big question. What is the most a 1982 cent could realistically be worth? Based on confirmed auction records, the highest known sale for a rare 1982 small date bronze cent was around $18,000. That's not small change, and if a higher grade version is found, or one with additional error features, that price could increase significantly. But there is no verified case of any 1982 penny selling for anywhere near $765 million. It's more likely that the figure originated as a joke, an exaggerated post, or a placeholder listing on a resale site that was never intended to be taken seriously. Yet, because the idea is so wild, it gets repeated, and people start believing it. Still, that doesn't mean the 1982 cent is without mystery, without value, or without allure. Quite the opposite. Its complexity, the variety of types, the unknown quantities of some rare variants, the quirks of minting, the difference in metal content, and the collector hype, make it one of the most intriguing coins of the 20th century. It continues to be studied, searched for, and debated by experts and hobbyists alike. If you're serious about coins, it's a must-have for your collection. And if you're new to the hobby, it's a great place to start. Who knows? Maybe your penny jar is holding a coin that history forgot. If you want to start hunting, here's what you need. First, get a good digital scale that measures to 2 decimal places in grams. This will help you identify whether your 1982 cent is bronze, 3.11 G, or zinc, 2.5 G. Then, use a magnifying glass to examine the date style, compare it to online guides or reputable collector books to see if it's a large or small date. Finally, check the mint mark. If you find a small date 1982 penny with AD mint mark, and it weighs around 3.11 grams, you may have something incredibly rare. At that point, stop what you're doing and contact a professional coin dealer or grading service immediately. Don't clean it, don't tamper with it, and don't try to sell it online without confirmation. It could be worth a fortune, and proper handling is essential. And while collectors across the country and even around the globe continue to search for this elusive piece of monetary history, let's talk about the culture that has grown around coins like the 1982 cent. The numismatic community isn't just a group of hobbyists. It's an ecosystem, an entire world with its own language, its own heroes, its own rules, and even its own scandals. There are collectors who have spent lifetimes studying the smallest details of a single coin type. Some only collect coins from a certain mint, like San Francisco or Denver. Others focus on error coins, and still others build what's known as registry sets, graded, high-quality coins submitted to third-party graders to achieve the highest possible ranking among all known specimens of that type. Imagine a person dedicating 30 or 40 years of their life just to understanding 1 year of one coin. That's the level of passion and expertise that exists in numismatics. And the 1982 penny is a kind of Mount Everest in this world. Not because it's necessarily the most valuable, but because it's so complex. 7 core types, 2 metals, 2 date designs, 2 mints, and the mystery of the small date bronze from Denver. That complexity invites obsession. And obsession, in turn, breeds discovery. Take for example the story of a man named Thomas, a soft-spoken collector from Ohio. He had been collecting Lincoln cents since 1974. His father gave him a coin folder when he was 7 years old, and like many, he filled it slowly, 1 year at a time. In 2002, he attended a local coin show and found a dealer with a bin labeled simply 1982s, mixed. For 10 cents apiece, Thomas bought 20 coins. When he got home, he weighed them, sorted them, studied them under magnification, and set aside 2 that didn't seem to fit any of the listed types. They had small dates, D-mint marks, and heavier weights, over 3 grams. After years of questioning, submitting them to graders, and rechecking expert opinions, one of those coins was confirmed to be a second known example of the 1982 D small date bronze. That 10-cent purchase turned into a 5-figure asset. Stories like that aren't just good luck. They're the result of dedication, patience, and knowledge. And for every Thomas, there are hundreds of hopeful collectors waiting for lightning to strike. They watch YouTube videos like this one. They read forums. They talk on Discord servers and subreddits. They learn the difference between a double die and a mechanical doubling. They invest in precision scales and USB microscopes. For them, coin collecting is more than a hobby. It's a lifestyle. The 1982 penny is just the bait. What they're really chasing is meaning, mastery, and a moment of triumph. Meanwhile, on the auction scene, things can get competitive. When a new, rare variation of a coin like the 1982 cent appears at a major auction house, let's say Heritage Auctions or Stack's Bowers, it draws not only collectors but investors, museum representatives, historians, and even celebrities. You might see a coin estimated at $3,000 go for $17,000 after a bidding war between 2 private collectors who each want the distinction of owning the highest graded example. Sometimes, coins aren't bought just for their metal or even for their story, they're bought for status. To say, I have the best. In that way, coins aren't so different from fine art or vintage watches. Now consider that millions of people are suddenly learning about coins through social media. Viral videos spark waves of amateur interest. Search terms like 1982 penny worth money spike overnight. eBay gets flooded with listings. Coin shops see more walk-ins. Grading services see increased submissions. The market swells. Misinformation spreads. And somewhere in that frenzy, a real discovery might still be waiting. Part of the fascination with coins like the 1982 cent lies in their dual identity. They are both common and rare. Billions of 1982 pennies were made. They're everywhere. But among them, just a few are special. That duality is what makes them so captivating. You can have 1,000 1982 pennies that are worth exactly 1 cent, and then, bam, you find one that's worth thousands. It's like panning for gold and suddenly striking a rich vein. The US Mint itself, perhaps unknowingly, contributed to this cultural phenomenon by not publicizing certain changes. There was no grand announcement saying, "We're switching to zinc now," or, "There are small and large date varieties this year." These details became known through research, community discovery, and relentless cataloging. The lack of formal communication created mystery, and mystery fuels obsession. For the record, the official composition change in 1982 was due to one simple reason: money. By the early 80s, the value of copper had risen so much that it cost the government more than 1 cent to produce a penny. That's not a sustainable business model. So they switched to a cheaper metal core and continued applying the familiar copper-colored plating. From the outside, the new coin looked the same, but inside, it was something entirely different. That hidden change is what makes this particular year so unique. It's a story of economics, engineering, and national policy, all wrapped into a 1-gram difference you can measure with a scale. And let's not forget the role of error coins, which continue to gain popularity. Off-center strikes, broad strikes, wrong planchet errors, and even double denominations. These anomalies occur during high-speed minting and are usually destroyed before leaving the mint. But some escape. And when they do, collectors go wild. Imagine a 1982 cent struck on a dime planchet. It would be smaller, silver-colored, and incredibly rare. Or a coin with both copper composition and zinc layering, an impossible hybrid that somehow came into being. These freaks of nature, so to speak, are coveted for their impossibility. They remind us that even in highly controlled environments, chaos can find a way. Now picture a scene: a family is cleaning out an old shoebox from a grandfather's attic. Inside, rolls of coins wrapped in faded paper. Among them, a roll labeled 1982D. They open it, not expecting much, maybe some soda money. But a grandson, curious, weighs a few coins out of boredom. One comes in at 3.11 grams. He checks the date style. Small date. The coin looks clean, barely circulated. They send it off to PCGS. Weeks pass. Then the certificate comes back: 1982 D small date bronze, MS 64. Estimated value, $25,000. It sounds like a fairy tale, but it's happened. Not often, but enough to make people keep looking. That we should also talk briefly about how coins are stored and preserved. Because condition is everything. If you suspect you have a valuable coin, especially something rare like a 1982 transitional variety, you should handle it only by the edges, preferably with cotton gloves. Never clean it. Cleaning removes the natural patina, introduces micro-scratches, and drastically lowers the grade. Even an MS-63 coin can drop to AU or XF value just by rubbing it with a cloth. Instead, store it in an airtight coin holder or slab, ideally in a cool, dry place. Humidity and air exposure accelerate corrosion, especially in copper. There's also a broader lesson here about value, not just monetary value, but historical, cultural, and personal value. The 1982 cent tells a story about the changing economics of America, about inflation, resource scarcity, and government adaptation. It tells a story of technological progress in coin production, and of mistakes that became treasures. It reflects human behavior, our urge to collect, to treasure, to search for meaning in small objects. To take something common and discover something uncommon within it, and in a time when most people ignore change, literally, pocket change, we're reminded that some of the most valuable things are hiding in plain sight. A 1982 penny may look like nothing. But with the right composition, the right mint mark, and the right condition, it could be something extraordinary. Something to pass down, to write about, to be remembered for. Not just as a coin, but as a symbol of curiosity rewarded. As we move forward in this video series, we'll explore more coins like this one, the 1955 double die, the 1943 copper cent, the 1969 double die obverse, and many others that have changed hands for thousands or even millions. But today, the humble 1982 cent deserves the spotlight. It's not about hype. It's not about fake eBay prices. It's about knowledge, history, and the pursuit of truth, and maybe, just maybe, it's about finding a little bit of magic in something you've held in your hand 1,000 times but never really looked at, until now. And while thousands of people have already rummaged through their coin jars and desk drawers hoping to uncover a fortune in a copper-colored coin that might otherwise be ignored, the phenomenon surrounding the 1982 cent shows no signs of slowing down. As the buzz spreads, the line between legitimate numismatic curiosity and viral misinformation becomes harder and harder to navigate. But here's where the line truly matters, because not everyone has the tools or the experience to distinguish a genuine discovery from a wishful illusion. And that's where misinformation becomes dangerous, not just misleading. Take, for example, the repeated claim that a 1982 penny sold for $765 million. It's astonishing how quickly that number has taken root in online articles, TikTok reels, and Facebook posts. What's usually missing? A source. A buyer. A legitimate grading report. A traceable auction house. There's no record anywhere of any coin in history, not even the rarest known 1794 flowing hair silver dollar, not even the only known 1933 St. Gaudens double eagle, not even gold-plated misstrikes from private collections, ever selling for anything close to $765 million. But the number sticks because it captures the imagination. And that's the hook. Imagination is often stronger than fact, especially when money's involved. People want to believe that a random penny could be worth more than a Picasso, a Gulfstream jet, or a Beverly Hills mansion. The emotional appeal of an underdog coin that becomes an astronomical treasure mirrors something deeper: hope. And the internet, for all its knowledge-sharing power, also amplifies fantasies at an uncontrollable pace. So what starts as a typo, or a joke, or even a clickbait title, 1982 penny worth $765 million, can become part of a global narrative repeated by millions. Even seasoned coin dealers have stories about this. One longtime dealer from Pennsylvania named Robert described how, in the span of 2 months, he was approached by more than 400 different people, online and in person, asking him to verify their $1 million penny. Nearly every one of them had seen a post on social media showing a generic 1982 penny, sometimes held in a gloved hand, sometimes shown spinning on a mirror, accompanied by text promising it was the rarest coin on earth. Some even claimed they were already in talks with buyers or investors. But when Robert examined these coins, he always found the same thing: average 1982 cents, sometimes small date zincs, usually circulated, worth exactly 1 cent. He wasn't frustrated by the influx. If anything, he was saddened. These people had been given false hope. They had spent hours believing they'd found a life-changing discovery, only to hear the truth from someone they didn't want to believe. And yet, every once in a while, one of those visitors is different. Every once in a while, a real coin of consequence walks through the door, overlooked for decades. A little worn, a little dusty, but real. And when that happens, the room changes. Time slows. The air shifts. It's not just about the money, it's about history confirming itself, about chance favoring preparation, about a collector's instinct being right all along. And in those moments, all the myths, the scams, the false leads, they melt away, and what remains is something far rarer than just a valuable penny. It's a moment of genuine discovery. To really grasp how rare the rarest 1982 cents are, we have to look at the actual population data. For example, PCGS, the professional coin grading service, has only ever certified 2 examples of the 1982 D small date bronze. That means, out of the billions of coins produced, only 2 have passed through the system and been verified to be what they are, minting mistakes that slipped through history's cracks. The odds are so small it's almost unfathomable. And yet, the fact that even 2 have been found means others might still exist, possibly in your house, your relative's drawer, your bankroll, or your daily change. Now consider the production numbers. In 1982, the Philadelphia Mint produced over 10 billion Lincoln cents. The Denver Mint produced more than 6 billion. This means that over 16 billion 1-cent coins were released into circulation that year alone, an astronomical number. Within that ocean of pennies, identifying and confirming a genuine bronze small-date Denver cent is like pulling one golden grain of sand from the Sahara. But the possibility, no matter how small, keeps collectors up at night. It keeps flashlights pointed at coins. It keeps microscopes humming. It keeps the dream alive. There are also the die-hard registry set builders who need each of the 7 1982 varieties in the highest possible condition. These collectors don't just want the coins, they want the finest known examples. They chase MS-68s. They compete with each other in secret and at auctions, bidding against rivals they've never met. When a high-grade 1982 small-date bronze comes to market, the bidding can be fierce and fast, and the final sale may exceed expectations by thousands. These buyers don't care about social media hype. They care about slabs, grades, eye appeal, rarity, and completeness. They are building legacies, not TikToks. Meanwhile, for the average person, understanding coin value can still feel like a puzzle. They ask, is it rare because it's old? Because it's shiny? Because it looks funny? Because someone online said it is? But the real answer depends on a combination of factors: the coin's physical characteristics, weight, date, style, mint mark, its condition, graded or not, and whether it deviates from what was supposed to happen at the mint that year. It's the deviation that defines rarity. And for the 1982 penny, the deviation is small but measurable, just 1/10 of a gram difference, just a slightly curled numeral, just a misplaced mint mark. But those differences make all the difference in the world. There's also a lesson in humility here. Because you can have a coin that looks rare, feels rare, and sounds rare, but until it's been weighed, inspected, authenticated, and certified, it's just potential. Numismatics isn't about guessing. It's about evidence. Grading companies employ experts who use advanced tools, scanning technology, magnification, and metallurgical analysis. They know what they're looking for. They know how to tell a real 1982 D bronze small date from a regular one with environmental damage or altered appearance. Their certification is what turns potential into verified value, and when a coin reaches a high grade, its price can explode. A 1982 small date zinc cent in MS-68 RD, red, condition might sell for $1,500 or more, not because it's an error, but because of its pristine state. Multiply that principle across all 7 varieties and every grade tier, and you can see how even a normal 1982 penny can be part of a valuable collection if preserved well. Red coins, meaning they still have their original coppery mint luster, are worth more than brown or red-brown coins. Strike sharpness, luster, surface marks, all of these contribute to grade, and therefore, to price, but again, condition without rarity is limited. A perfect common coin is still common. The magic happens when rarity and condition meet. That's what sets high auction records. That's what makes the front page of collector magazines. That's what gets featured at numismatic conventions, and then, of course, there are the frauds. Stories of altered coins aren't new. Some people have tried to take ordinary 1982 D large date zinc cents and chemically alter the surfaces to match the color of bronze coins, hoping to fool amateur buyers. Others have filed down numerals to make large dates look like small dates. Still others try to sell fake slabs, plastic holders with counterfeit labels mimicking the major grading services. These fakes erode trust in the market and are exactly why verification is essential. If you ever plan to buy or sell a high-value coin, use only trusted platforms, verify certification numbers, and deal with licensed professionals, and yet, even amid all this noise and deception, the coin itself remains unchanged. The 1982 cent sits quietly in millions of collections, pockets, and jars, its value unknown, its story untold. Maybe yours is ordinary. Maybe it's extraordinary. You won't know until you look. And that's the point. That's why this coin continues to fascinate, even decades later. It represents a rare alignment of chance and change, history and mystery. It's a coin that was never supposed to matter. But somehow, it does. And because it does, it inspires millions to look closer, to learn more, and to imagine that one little coin could change their lives. And so, in the quiet corners of grading labs where fluorescent lights hum and magnifiers hover over copper coins, a handful of experts sit surrounded by history. These are the final arbiters of truth, the numismatic graders. Their job may look simple from the outside: observe, grade, and seal. But inside that role is years of experience, the kind that can distinguish a 1982 small date from a large date by the flick of a serif or the curve of a number. They spend hours analyzing coins with the precision of surgeons. They don't rely on guesswork. They rely on touch, texture, luster, strike clarity, and above all, comparison. They've seen tens of thousands of the same coin, and it's that saturation of familiarity that gives them the skill to spot an anomaly in an instant. Inside one such lab, behind locked doors and with cameras overhead, sits a 1982 small date cent weighing 3.11 grams. The examiner sets it on a scale first, confirming weight. Then he moves to the microscope, examining the 2 in the date, looking for the upward curve, the clean tail, the sharp transition that defines the small date design. He checks for contact marks, strike strength, luster, and signs of wear. The surface is immaculate. As he enters notes into the system, he knows, this is no ordinary coin. He knows, too, the responsibility he carries. A mistake here could alter the price of a coin by tens of thousands. He types in the final grade, MS 65RD. A registry-worthy specimen. A discovery. Outside the lab, the coin-collecting world continues to evolve. More and more, collectors are not just retirees and dealers. They're teenagers. Gamers. Tech workers. Teachers. Military veterans. Immigrants. Artists. It's a global community, and coins like the 1982 cent have become conversation starters in cities across continents. A young collector in Brazil might post a video showing how to weigh 1982 pennies using a portable scale. A retiree in India might join a coin live stream hosted in California. A teen in the Philippines might upload a video holding up his small date 1982 and asking if it's the one. This globalization has given rise to a fascinating dynamic: cross-border buying and selling of American coins. The 1982 cent, particularly in high-grade condition, has found homes in private collections in South Korea, Germany, Canada, and even Russia. To them, it's more than just an American oddity, it's a piece of industrial and monetary evolution. They see the same things we do: a year of change, a mystery of composition, a variation created not by design but by necessity. At the same time, there's an underground market where misinformation thrives. Certain corners of the internet offer fakes, forgeries, altered coins, and scam listings that prey on unsuspecting enthusiasts. Some even offer certificates of rarity from fake grading firms that sound legitimate but are nothing more than labels printed in someone's basement. These coins flood online auction platforms with price tags designed to tempt, like, "Buy it now, $999,999. They borrow from the real stories, citing the 1982 bronze small date, without offering proof. And some sellers don't even realize they're selling a fake. They saw a video, weighed a coin, and assumed they had a jackpot, but amidst that noise, the real stories shine. Like the one from Linda, a schoolteacher from Illinois. She didn't know much about coins, but she loved history. One summer, while helping her father clean out his old garage, she came across a coffee can full of pennies, mostly from the 1970s and 80s. She set them aside. 2 years later, after watching a documentary on collectible currency, she remembered the can. On a rainy weekend, she poured them out, sorted them by year, and started weighing every 1982 penny she found. Most were zinc. A few were copper. One was different. It was a 1982 D. It had a small date. It was bronze. She had it graded. MS 63 brown. Estimated value, $12,000. She cried when she read the certificate. She said it felt like her dad had left her a gift, one last lesson from the man who taught her to pay attention to small things. There's a quiet poetry to coins like that. They are memory and mystery forged into metal. They pass through hands, through decades, through pockets and drawers and piggy banks, waiting for someone to notice them. And because of stories like Linda's, others continue to look. There's also something cinematic about it. Imagine, a coin minted in 1982, overlooked for 40 years, tucked into a jar, then rediscovered at just the right moment by someone who happened to be watching a video like this one. It's not just valuable, it's meaningful. It connects past to present. It's why so many people hold on to coins long after their monetary value has faded. Because they remember who gave them the coin. Where they found it. What it reminded them of. In fact, the emotional connection between people and coins is often stronger than the financial one. Some people refuse to sell rare finds even when offered thousands. One collector in Oregon reportedly discovered a flawless 1982 small-date bronze cent and turned down $20,000 for it. He said it was part of his story now. He kept it in a small display case with a photo of his late grandfather, who introduced him to collecting. "It's not a coin," he said. "It's a memory I can hold." Meanwhile, the 1982 cent continues to challenge experts and confound databases. Every year, new varieties are discovered. Subtle die changes. Minor retoolings. Slight shifts in lettering. And each new discovery adds another piece to the puzzle. The Red Book, Whitman's Essential Coin Collector's Guide, has updated its entry on the 1982 cent several times, each time reflecting new knowledge, new confirmed sales, and better classification. What was once treated as a single year is now broken down into multiple types, each with their own mintage estimates, auction records, and demand trends, and then there's the legacy of the Lincoln cent itself. From 1909 to 2025, it has been in continuous production, evolving through design changes, metal crises, and political transitions. From the wheat reverse to the Lincoln Memorial to the modern Union Shield, the cent has followed the American story. The 1982 version sits at a turning point, the literal shift from solid copper to a zinc core. Some call it the end of an era. Others call it the start of modern coinage. Either way, it marks a moment of transformation, the kind that collectors live to document. It's also symbolic of something deeper. In a world obsessed with fast turnover and digital everything, the idea that a small copper coin from the past could still hold significance, still spark a hunt, still change someone's life, that's powerful. And that's why people keep watching videos like this. They're not just looking for coins. They're looking for stories, and the story of the 1982 penny isn't finished. There are still discoveries to be made. Still errors to confirm. Still coins hiding in bank rolls, dresser drawers, old purses, cardboard albums, and forgotten vaults. The hunt continues. The passion continues. The questions continue. Could a new highest-grade 1982 D bronze small date still be out there? Could another variation, undiscovered and undocumented, be waiting in a jar on someone's shelf? The answer, as always, is yes. That's what keeps the collectors up at night. That's what keeps the market alive. That's what makes numismatics not just a study of coins, but a celebration of curiosity, because in the end, it's not just about copper, or zinc, or weight, or dates. It's about noticing something small that matters. It's about turning the ordinary into the extraordinary through knowledge, care, and a bit of luck. And it's about holding a piece of history that you found with your own hands. That's why, even decades later, people are still asking the same question: could this penny be the on? And still the question lingers: why does the idea of a single penny being worth a life-changing sum capture the attention of so many, from casual viewers to serious collectors, from grandmothers to teenagers, from wealthy investors to everyday workers? What is it about the 1982 cent in particular that seems to live rent-free in the imagination of the public? The answer lies in human psychology. Humans are wired to respond to stories of transformation, rags to riches, unknown to famous, forgotten to celebrated. The 1982 penny is the physical embodiment of that narrative. It's something everyone has seen 1,000 times, something ordinary, mundane, even disposable. But within its ranks lies something extraordinary, a coin that looks the same on the outside but carries a unique secret inside. And that mystery, once exposed, can turn pocket change into a fortune. It's the ultimate underdog story, and human beings are addicted to those. Treasure hunting, in all its forms, taps into this same primal mechanism. Whether it's metal detecting on the beach, panning for gold in a mountain stream, bidding on unclaimed storage units, or weighing pennies at your kitchen table, the thrill comes from the unknown, and the possibility that the next one you touch will be the one. And when it comes to the 1982 cent, the narrative is even more compelling because of its real history: the mid-year composition change, the presence of both small and large dates, and the confirmed existence of ultra-rare transitional errors that weren't supposed to happen. This is why coin dealers sometimes compare rare coin hunting to fishing. 99 times out of 100, you come up empty. But the one time you don't? You bring up a fish so rare, it feeds your passion for a lifetime. And the stories that surround the 1982 cent are the kind that create legends: people finding a 5-figure coin in pocket change, a child spotting an error with a toy magnifying glass, a veteran discovering a rare specimen in a roll of cents he picked up out of boredom at the bank. And those discoveries don't just become anecdotes, they become investments. Because rare coins, unlike stocks or crypto, are tangible. You can hold them, feel their weight, study their surfaces. They're not just entries in a portfolio, they're artifacts. And for this reason, serious collectors and investors insure them. Yes, rare coins like the 1982 small date bronze in mint state are sometimes stored in bank vaults or kept in private safes. Owners take out insurance policies on them, complete with appraisals, serial numbers, and high-resolution photographs. Just like art, these coins are protected as unique pieces of wealth. And if a coin like that were ever lost, stolen, or destroyed, the insurance payout could be the only way to recoup its 6-figure value. Some ultra-rare coins are never even shown to the public. They're bought and sold in private deals, sometimes between two collectors who use third-party agents to negotiate the sale discreetly. Others are purchased by funds, yes, investment funds, that specialize in rare tangible assets like coins, watches, art, and vintage cars. These organizations view rare coins as not just collectibles but stores of value, inflation hedges, and appreciation assets with cultural significance. But this level of market activity requires authentication, which brings us back to grading, the key that unlocks everything. No serious investor or buyer will pay high prices for an uncertified coin. The risk is too high. That's why PCGS, NGC, and ANACs have become the pillars of trust in the market. Their encapsulation, the slab, does more than just protect the coin. It provides legitimacy. It says, "This is what we say it is." That slab becomes part of the coin's identity. Its serial number links to a public record. Its photo lives in online databases. Its grade and attributes are documented forever, and while grading costs money, often $30 to $75 per coin depending on the tier, it's a tiny investment if your coin ends up being worth thousands. That's why the coin collecting community always advises, don't guess. Don't assume. Certify. Meanwhile, as more and more people learn about the 1982 cent, more coins are submitted for grading each year. Some come back as expected, zinc, circulated, common. Others turn out to be surprises, undiscovered die variations, higher grades than assumed, or in rare cases, transitional errors. And every new discovery refuels the community. Every new MS-66 or better specimen pushes the known population forward and gives registry collectors a new goal to chase. Now, let's talk about the speculative market. For every confirmed rare 1982 penny, there are hundreds listed online claiming to be one. Rare 1982 D mint small date error penny. Very, very rare. Looks like copper, $325,000 OBO. You've seen the listings. They dominate online marketplaces, and while many of them are optimistic dreamers, some are outright scams. Unfortunately, because the market is so hyped and the information so scattered, a lot of people buy first and ask questions later. But the legitimate collector doesn't operate that way. They do the work. They weigh, they measure, they compare, and they submit for grading before assigning value. Let's also address the idea that more 1982 D small date bronze cents may still be out there. The simple truth is, yes. Experts believe more examples could exist, just undiscovered. After all, it took over 20 years for the second confirmed example to surface. That means it could take another 10, 20, or 30 years before a third one appears, or it could happen tomorrow. The U.S. Mint didn't document the existence of such coins because they weren't supposed to be made. Their production was unintentional, transitional, and extremely limited. That means their survival in circulation is largely luck, and their discovery is usually made by accident, though increasingly, by educated accident. So what should you do if you think you found one? First, don't clean it. Don't tape it to a paper with a note. Don't leave it in a hot car. Handle it carefully by the edges. Weigh it precisely with a digital scale. Confirm the small date features, look at the 2, the position of the 8, the height of the numbers. Take good photos. Then, send it to a reputable grading company. That's the only way to go from maybe to definitely. And finally, let's talk about what this coin really means in the bigger picture. Because it's not just a collectible. It's a phenomenon. A teaching tool. A case study in economics, error, and obsession. It shows us how even something as tiny and overlooked as a penny can change the way we think. It's proof that history leaves breadcrumbs, and sometimes, those breadcrumbs are stamped into copper and zinc. It teaches us patience. To check one more roll. To weigh one more coin. To try one more time. It teaches us to look beneath the surface, literally. Because what's inside matters. And above all, it teaches us not to take anything for granted. Not even a coin. And so we arrive at one of the most vibrant, human aspects of the numismatic world, the coin show. It's at these conventions, held in hotel ballrooms, civic centers, and sprawling expo halls, that the 1982 cent continues to generate quiet but powerful energy. You walk past tables stacked with silver eagles, ancient Roman denarii, Liberty half-dollars, and suddenly you overhear it. Did you see the 1982 small date bronze at booth 319? Collectors lean in. Dealers perk up. Whispers ripple out like waves across the sea of showcase lights. At national shows like the Fun Convention in Florida or the ANA World's Fair of Money, the rarest of the rare sometimes make their quiet debut. Under thick glass and multiple layers of security, a graded 1982 D small date bronze cent sits inside a velvet-lined display, the white PCGS slab label crisp, the coin's luster glowing beneath well-placed halogen beams. Young collectors with wide eyes press closer to the glass. Veteran dealers explain what makes it rare: the weight, the date curve, the mint mark. Only two like it, one murmurs. And this one's for display only. In a small seminar room just off the main hall, a panel of experts gathers. One of them, a former U.S. Mint technician named Allen, recounts how chaotic 1982 was from a minting operations standpoint. "We were running both copper and zinc planchets at once, same presses, different dies, sometimes in overlapping shifts. Mistakes weren't just possible. They were inevitable," he says, his voice calm but confident. "No one thought about what those mistakes would mean 40 years later. We were trying to keep up with demand and keep costs down." Beside him, Dr. Reuben Caston, a senior numismatist with over 3 decades in the field, adds, "The 1982 cent is the most studied modern U.S. coin. Not because it was designed to be, but because of what it accidentally became. It's the Rosetta Stone for modern coin errors. If you can understand the 1982 penny, you can understand the entire minting process." Across the hall, a teenage collector named Erica pulls a worn 1982 D penny from her pouch. She's nervous, but she knows her facts. She's weighed it, measured it, matched the date font to verified examples. A dealer takes it, examines it, weighs it himself. He smiles kindly. "Zinc, I'm afraid. But your instincts are sharp. Keep going." This is the heartbeat of numismatics, the passing of knowledge, the encouragement of effort, the shared pursuit of that one moment of discovery. And the 1982 cent, with all its mystery and allure, continues to inspire a new generation of collectors who weren't even alive when it was minted, and that's something worth pausing on. Because generational collecting isn't just nostalgia. It's a bridge. A connection between a father and daughter, a grandfather and grandson. A coin folder isn't just a place to store metal, it's a timeline of bonding moments. And the 1982 cent sits there, challenging both the seasoned eye and the rookie's enthusiasm. Some families make a tradition out of hunting for it. Weekend coin roll searches. Weighing pennies at the kitchen table. Marking them with post-it notes. Comparing the font on the two. They laugh, they argue, they hope. And every so often, they find something, a nice red coin, a mint error, a heavier than expected planchet, and that becomes a story they tell for years. That in a world of digital everything, these analog rituals carry a different kind of magic. They're tactile. Real. Slow. Grounded. The 1982 cent isn't just a coin, it's a tactile pause in the chaos. A reason to slow down, to search deliberately, to look closer. And as time passes, that kind of engagement becomes more and more valuable, not just financially, but emotionally, because even if your penny is worth a cent, the time you spent looking made it worth more. Meanwhile, as rumors persist online and headlines twist facts into fiction, the true history continues quietly in books, forums, collector clubs, and face-to-face conversations. People still want to believe that a coin can be worth $765 million. And while the reality is that number 1982 cent has ever sold for anything remotely close to that, the dream behind the rumor has done something remarkable. It has pulled millions of people into a conversation about history, metallurgy, design, and the economy. It has inspired critical thinking, research, and curiosity. It has made people pay attention to pennies again, and that's perhaps the coin's greatest legacy. Not just its rarity. Not just its market value. But its ability to make people care about something small. To rediscover wonder in the everyday. To look at the familiar and ask, what if? Because that's the real power of numismatics. Coins tell stories. Some are personal. Some are political. Some are accidental. But all of them are human. The 1982 penny tells a story of transition, not just of metal, but of process, of priorities, of the line between the ordinary and the exceptional. It tells the story of a nation adjusting to economic pressures, of a mint modernizing under stress, and of a mistake that became a legend. It reminds us that nothing is truly common, not even the coins we step over on the sidewalk. It reminds us that history hides in plain sight, waiting to be discovered not by experts, but by anyone willing to look. And so maybe, just maybe, the next time you're handed change at the store, you won't brush it off. Maybe you'll look. Weigh it. Study the numbers. And in that moment, whether you find a treasure or not, you'll be part of something bigger, a tradition, a mystery, a hunt that spans generations, all from one little coin, struck in 1982, against the backdrop of inflation and change, that somehow found its way into your hand. And so, here we are, at the end of a journey that began with a single cent. A coin most people toss into a tip jar, leave in their car console, or slide into a pocket without a second thought. But for those who take the time to learn, who observe, who study, who weigh and compare, this humble object becomes something else entirely. It becomes a symbol. Not just of rarity, or value, or history, but of potential. The 1982 cent has taught us that even the smallest, most ordinary object can have layers. That what's inside, the composition, the history, the context, matters just as much as what's visible on the outside. It's a metaphor not only for coins, but for life itself. In the years ahead, this penny will continue to fascinate collectors. As grading technology improves, as more coins are examined, and as the market grows more sophisticated, new varieties might still be discovered. Perhaps another small date bronze D-mint coin will surface, hidden in a private collection, sitting in a safe deposit box, or waiting at the bottom of an untouched bank roll from the 1980s. Or maybe a transitional error unlike anything we've seen will be pulled from circulation by a curious 12-year-old with a kitchen scale and a flashlight. The next great discovery could belong to anyone, and it will happen. Because the truth is, the world is still full of hidden coins. The U.S. Mint struck billions of cents in 1982. Many of them are still out there. Unsorted. Unweighed. Unseen. That's what keeps this story alive. The speculative value will fluctuate. Articles will continue to claim outrageous prices, some true, most exaggerated. Videos will surface with jaw-dropping titles, and some of them will be nothing more than digital fishing hooks for attention. But beneath all that noise, the real story remains. The 1982 cent's value lies not only in what it can sell for, but in what it inspires people to do. To learn. To research. To connect with history. To be curious. This is why coin collecting isn't dying, it's evolving. And coins like the 1982 cent are at the center of that evolution. Young people are entering the hobby not because of dusty albums, but because of TikToks, YouTube videos, and Instagram reels showing real discoveries. A single post showing a 1982 penny turning out to be worth thousands can ignite a fire that leads to a lifetime of collecting, studying, and teaching. Teachers are now using coins to teach economics and history in schools. Parents are teaching their kids the value of money not through numbers, but through the metal itself. And every one of those conversations helps preserve this hobby, and this story, for the next generation. So what should you do? Start looking. Not tomorrow. Not next week. Today. Right now. Go grab that jar of pennies sitting in your cabinet. Open that drawer full of change. Ask your family if they have old coins tucked away. Visit your local bank and see if they'll let you buy a box of cent rolls. Get yourself a good digital scale. 0.01 gram precision is all you need. Learn how to spot the small date. Study photos. Compare. Join forums. Ask questions. Be skeptical. But don't stop searching. Maybe you'll find nothing, and that's okay. Because in the process, you'll have learned something. You'll have touched history. You'll have looked closer. And in a world that moves faster every day, slowing down to study a single coin is revolutionary. Maybe your 1982 penny is just a penny. Or maybe, just maybe, it's the next chapter in this unfolding story. And what happens if you find one? If you weigh your 1982 D cent and it comes in at 3.10 or 3.11 grams, and it has the small date font, what then? You don't panic. You document. You contact a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC. You protect the coin. You send it in. And you wait, patiently. Because that coin, if real, isn't just worth money. It's a piece of minting history. It's a legacy. And it may one day be the subject of the next great numismatic headline. It may sit in a museum. It may pass down in your family for generations. Or it may be sold in a six-figure auction to a collector who has spent years dreaming of it. Either way, you'll be a part of the story now. You'll be one of the few who went beyond believing and actually found it. That's the promise of the 1982 cent. That's the magic buried in its copper-plated zinc core. That's the mystery hiding in plain sight in every handful of change. And that's why, even 4 decades after it was minted, this coin remains more relevant than ever. So the next time someone tells you that pennies are worthless, show them what knowledge can reveal. Tell them about the 7 types of 1982 cents, tell them about copper versus zinc, tell them about small date versus large date, tell them about the Denver Mint error, tell them about the 2 known examples, how they defied odds, rewrote price guides, and became legends. Tell them that the 1982 cent isn't just a coin, it's a movement. And then reach into your pocket, because maybe, the next one is yours. Welcome to Back Lincoln Currency. This deep dive into one of the most talked about coins in modern numismatics, the 1982 1-cent coin. You might think it's just a regular penny, a common copper-colored coin found in millions of pockets and drawers, perhaps at the bottom of a jar or behind the couch cushions. But today, we are peeling back the layers of an extraordinary numismatic mystery that has captivated collectors, historians, and investors for decades. Some say it's worthless, some say it's worth millions, and a few even say it's worth as much as $765 million. That's right. $765 million for a single penny. While that number may seem like pure fantasy, there are legitimate reasons behind the buzz, and we're going to examine everything, from the design and metal composition to production variants, mint locations, and collector rumors that have taken the internet by storm. Let's begin with the coin itself. In 1982, the United States Mint produced a series of 1-cent coins, and this was no ordinary year. It marked a significant transition in the history of American coinage. Up to this point, pennies had been struck primarily using a composition of 95% copper and 5% zinc. This had been the standard for decades, giving the coin its recognizable reddish-brown hue and substantial feel. However, due to rising copper prices and the cost of producing each penny actually exceeding its face value, the U.S. Mint made a crucial decision to alter the coin's composition. Beginning in 1982, they started producing pennies made of 97.5% zinc and only 2.5% copper in the form of a thin copper plating. This change reduced production costs significantly and marked a new era for the humble cent coin. But this transition wasn't as clean-cut as flipping a switch. The changeover happened gradually throughout the year, resulting in the creation of several distinct variations of the 1982 penny. These variations are the key to understanding the value of the 1982 cent. The United States Mint produced coins with both the old copper alloy and the new zinc-based composition in 1982. To make things even more complex, the coins came in both large date and small date formats. This means that there are at least 7 known major types of 1982 Lincoln cents: 1982 large date bronze, copper, 1982 small date bronze, 1982 large date zinc, 1982 small date zinc, 1982 D large date bronze, 1982 D small date zinc, and the very mysterious and ultra-rare 1982 D small date bronze. Each of these coins has its own characteristics, and their values vary based on type, rarity, and condition. Let's talk a little about how to distinguish between them. The large and small date variations can be identified by examining the size and styling of the numerals in the date. The most noticeable difference is in the number 2 and the alignment of the date. On a small date cent, the 2 has a slightly curled base and the 8 is level with the rest of the digits. On a large date, the 2 is straighter and the 8 may sit slightly lower or have a more bulbous appearance. This difference, while subtle, is crucial when identifying valuable 1982 pennies. But what about weight? This is where things get even more fascinating. The copper-based coins weigh approximately 3.11 grams, whereas the zinc-based coins are lighter, weighing around 2.5 grams. This means that a simple digital scale can often be the best first tool in a collector's arsenal. A coin that weighs more than 3 grams and has a small date is worth checking out. It could be one of the rarest coins in American history. Among all the 1982 variations, the 1982 D small date bronze is the crown jewel. Only a few have ever been found. In fact, the first known specimen was discovered in the early 2000s and caused a massive stir in the numismatic community. No one expected that such a coin existed, especially one struck at the Denver Mint in bronze when that mint was thought to have switched completely to the zinc planchet. To this day, only 2 confirmed examples of the 1982 D small date bronze cent exist, and they are considered pattern errors or transitional anomalies. When these coins surface, they generate headlines and price tags to match. One sold for over $18,000, and experts speculate that if a flawless example, especially in a high mint state or uncirculated condition, were ever to hit the auction block, it could fetch 6 figures easily. But what about this rumor of $765 million? Is there a coin worth that much? Let's explore that for a moment. The idea of a penny being worth hundreds of millions of dollars is more rooted in myth, misinformation, and internet rumor than in verifiable auction records. However, the story likely stems from a misunderstanding or a highly exaggerated online listing. Some websites, eBay listings, and social media posts have showcased 1982 cents with wild asking prices, often with descriptions that include words like rare, mint error, and once in a lifetime. But it's important to understand that an asking price does not equal market value. That said, rare variations of this coin, especially in pristine condition and verified by professional grading services such as PCGS or NGC, can command large sums of money, but nowhere close to $765 million. As of now, the most valuable penny ever sold at auction is the 1943 D bronze cent, which fetched over $1.70 million. Even so, that hasn't stopped coin enthusiasts and treasure hunters from checking every 1982 penny they come across. Stories have emerged of people using magnifying glasses and digital scales to examine their old jars of coins. Some have made impressive discoveries, like finding mint state coins or rare errors, including off-center strikes, double dies, or wrong planchet strikes. In such cases, even common pennies can become collector's gold. The Lincoln cent's design is another factor that adds to its intrigue. On the obverse, or front, of the coin is the profile of President Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner. This iconic image has graced the cent since 1909, commemorating the centennial of Lincoln's birth. It's one of the longest-running coin designs in U.S. history. The reverse of the 1982 cent still featured the Lincoln Memorial, designed by Frank Gasparo, before it was changed in 2009 to the shield reverse in honor of Lincoln's bicentennial. A unique feature of the Lincoln Memorial reverse is that if you look closely with a magnifying glass, you can actually see a tiny statue of Lincoln sitting inside the memorial, an incredible detail for such a small coin. The mint mark on these coins, either P for Philadelphia or D for Denver, can be found just below the date. However, Philadelphia cents from this era often lack a mint mark entirely. Collectors often look for additional anomalies beyond the basic date and weight. These include double die obverse, where the image appears double due to a misalignment during the minting process. These errors are rare and can significantly increase the coin's value, sometimes to thousands of dollars. Another anomaly includes planchet errors, where the coin was struck on the wrong metal blank, like a 1982 cent being struck on a dime planchet, or featuring clipped edges, struck through errors, or other mechanical mishaps that occurred during production. These errors, when authenticated, can be extremely valuable. Now let's turn to the grading and market aspects. Coins are graded on a 70-point scale, with MS 70 being a perfect mint state. Most circulated 1982 cents will fall somewhere between VG, very good, to XF, extremely fine. However, coins that are in MS 65 and above, particularly those with full luster and no contact marks, can be worth far more than their face value. Having your coin professionally graded and slabbed by a reputable service can make a significant difference in both value and buyer confidence. The coin market operates on both retail and wholesale pricing. Dealers often use the gray sheet, or CDN, as a baseline for pricing, while collectors rely on auction results and online marketplaces. eBay can offer a sense of what people are actually willing to pay, though it's important to distinguish between listing prices and actual completed sales. As of this moment, common 1982 cents in average circulated condition are worth just a penny. However, certain varieties, especially certified MS examples, can range from $1 to over $10, and the rarest of them, the small date bronze from Denver, can command thousands. So, is there a 1982 penny worth $765 million? Not in any recorded sale. But the buzz around this coin shows how much intrigue a small piece of metal can generate. It's a symbol of hidden value, of unexpected wealth in the ordinary, and the dream that maybe, just maybe, that old penny in your junk drawer could change your life. Stories like these are part of what makes numismatics so endlessly fascinating. The excitement, the chase, the discovery, it's about more than just money. It's about history, craftsmanship, and the thrill of finding treasure in plain sight, and so, the legend of the 1982 penny continues. Whether you're a seasoned collector or a curious newcomer, it's worth keeping an eye out for those heavy copper coins with small date markings and Denver mint marks. Because as long as there's one undiscovered gem out there, the story of the 1982 penny will live on, capturing imaginations and sparking conversations for generations to come.